I just found some reprobates backstage. Ladies and gentlemen, Gaye Bykers on acid.
Thank you.
So,
just before you know, it's Robber's world and we all live in it.
Robber's world. You're welcome to it.
Robber's world and we all live in it.
you stole my name.
Yeah.
So you're back. Why?
Why not?
Okay, let's go. So how come you got back to? Because you're in about 25 bands already. So you went back to the mothership.
Well, there was a long time where we were being asked to, oh, do you want to play again? Do you want to get together? And I kind of didn't want to go back and drag up the past. I was like, future, I don't want to go back. I'm going to keep do something new. And then somebody, I joined Pop Will Eat Itself, and obviously there was sort of a bit of a crossover. And a lot of people going, oh, you've got to do the Bykers. And then Grant Holby, Mute Elephant guy, who sort of organises the Indie Fest, waved a sum of money in front of us.
Money, cash talks and bullshit walks.
Waved a sort of sum of money, and I think enough time had elapsed. And I thought, why not? And I was living in Brazil at the time, thought it'd be nice to go back to England and not have to pay for it. Tony Byker was in Japan, and they sort of, the amount that covered that, and it was sort of, well, let's do a tour as well. And so we sort of ended up doing a few dates around the time. And we played in Nottingham. A friend of ours, Baz Barrett, I don't know, what's the name of the venue we played at?
It was the Dog House.
The Dog House in Nottingham.
Oh, yeah.
And we arrived, and Baz said, oh, I've just knocked down this wall, so the venue's a little bit bigger. So we sold more tickets than we anticipated.
Well, they not, because you were playing there that night, they specifically knocked the wall
The
down.
week before, he literally knocked the...
No, he was still knocking it down when we arrived.
He was still knocking it down when we arrived.
It's a big wall.
It's a big wall. But no, so I was like, well, this is a bit weird. Is that how many people's going to turn up? We played with Evil Blizzard. They supported us, who are
They're almost local,
an amazing band. And I was like, what are we doing? Why are they supporting us? This is a bit weird. We sort of struck up the first tune and started playing and got into the thing, and everybody was singing along. We hadn't played for 30 odd years, and it was like, oh my God. So what sort of turned, it just sort of, I think after the show, it was sort of quite an emotional thing, and you sort of realise that what it meant to some people. Sometimes it's quite easy to be dismissive and think, oh yeah, it's just old stuff. And it just kind of hit a nerve, and so I thought, well, if people are really, if it makes people happy, and it made us happy as well, which is the main thing, we sort of just decided to carry on, do some more, so let's do it again in a couple of years' time or whatever.
That's your version of events.
Okay.
What's yours?
Sex and drugs and coffee.
What, without the rock and roll at all?
Well, I was always into disco. I'm a disco kid. Don't really listen to punk.
That's a lie, Robber. You're a naughty little punk rocker.
Yeah, well, it did say punk on the advert when I joined that. We are actually a punk band. Let's get one thing straight, we are a punk band.
There is actually an exhibition in Leicester at the moment, a punk exhibition, and he is the star, because he looks about 10 years old with his little spiky hair, so don't let him fool you, he's a punk through and through.
Punk is an attitude, not the way you look.
Well, initially, and going back to that period, the whole thing, how did it start? I mean, you must have had things going on before.
No, I didn't. These two were in. He was in another band called Crud Death.
Yeah.
And then he was in another band had a great singer in Leicester, kind of a goth band called Church in Ruin. Is that right, Eugene? And I used to go and watch bands, and I always wanted to be in it. I used to walk around Leicester with a bass guitar and in a case, and wasn't really in a band, but just thought it looked really cool.
You just hoped somebody would just
So
enjoy
he picked
you.
me up. Yeah. So I think we started a band. I think me and Ian Anderson from Crazy Head started a band called the Plainsmen. Neither of us could actually play, and I don't know what happened. That didn't really.
You were terrible. That's why it never happened.
So Robert came and rescued us because he actually learned how to play guitar.
I'm making a mess of it.
And they became a bass player.
So I was living in Wales at the time, in a hole,
Yeah.
and I just got the call that said they needed a drummer, so I came back. I really didn't have anything better to do, so I came back and joined as a drummer.
Landry
Just went
Wells,
from
you
there,
know, right?
yeah.
So yeah, we got Kev back, and we sort of, I think we started under the name Petal Frenzy.
Which is actually a terrible name.
Yeah.
I wanted to call it Petrol Friends. I thought a bit more anarchy in it, you know what I mean?
And who came up with actually the stroke of genius is the name?
Well, it was Ray Lowry.
Mhm.
It was an NME cartoon, and basically Ray Lowry put on the back of it. I don't know if anybody remembers Ray Lowry's cartoons.
Were amazing.
Were absolutely well. Ray Lowry did the London Calling album cover, and he was like a great bloke. So he put Gay Bykers on Acid on the back of one of his cartoons. He always used to put funny things on the back, and it really upset the Hells Angels, and they got threatened. And the NME, I thought, well, that's shit.
Too good not to use.
Too bit close to the bone. It's like that's got to be a band name, isn't it? It's like they're getting upset about that. They can't get upset. There's more in it than maybe they aren't gay. So we took the name on, which instantly sort of was better than we were musically, obviously.
Yeah.
And
So the music had to catch up with the name.
the music eventually caught up with
We
the
got
name.
better.
We did get better.
I mean, last of that time was quite interesting, wasn't it? There's a little micro scene, I guess, bomb party.
Yeah, well,
Crazy
I was the Bomb Party's roadie for a while, and that was kind of I was very active in those days. Like, I was really keen to get things moving, and so I was driving the Bomb Party, and every time we're going to London to do an interview, so I'd make sure that I went with them, and then whoever was interviewing them would go, "I've got a band, it's called Gay Bykers on Acid."
Yeah.
And then people, so it kind of, when we did actually throw out a demo tape to somebody, it kind of bit quite, somebody took the bait quite quickly, which was Mark Riley, because the Janitors they were another Leicester band, and they got signed by Intape, which you were briefly
You were on as well.
Yeah.
We were label mates.
We were label mates.
Yeah. I don't think he actually liked our band. He just liked the name, didn't he?
I think you
I
might
think
be
you'll find
right.
everybody who's probably like that.
Great name, shit music.
So we, I think at that point we signed a deal with Intape, and I was sort of a bit of and they was like, who are we going to get to produce the record? And I was like, oh, I'm a big fan of the Three Johns, and Mark was saying, John can do it, he's a mate of mine. So
John Langford.
So John Langford came and produced, Everything's Groovy, and it instantly, I think it got played on. Michael Jackson had just made a video that cost $4 million at the time, and it was on the old Grey Whistle Test. We made a video that cost us
40 quid for a pack of fireworks.
Some speed.
I have to say, at that point in time, speed was the operative word.
And it was cheap.
I think it's still. I think you find it's still cheap. I think it's still
It's
cheap.
15 now.
Is it? It was 10 then.
Inflation 50. I still think it's a good deal.
So you can make the video for 30 quid now.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah.
But either by the way, the video got voted the best one. People preferred ours to Michael Jackson because we did it on a shoestring.
It went on.
No, it went on the
Whistle
old Grey
Test.
Whistle Test basically, and they said, this is Michael Jackson's £5 million video, and this is the Gay Bykers on Acid with Everything's Groovy. Played, and then all of a sudden it just like. I mean, obviously, people liked it was a good record because it actually stayed quite high in the.
It's
in the
quite
chart.
disco.
We're not
really,
very
isn't it?
fashionable, the Gay Bykers. We're not a part of the clique,
Well, you had a moment there.
We had our moment, yeah.
I mean, that was the best selling record on the Intape, if I remember.
Yeah, and guess what? Didn't receive a penny.
But that's true, actually. We're still waiting to get paid for that, aren't we?
Jim-
It all went on the video.
It all went on recording your album, mate.
We're on your expensive hotels where we slept on the floor of the producer.
It was all very shoestring in them days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but even from the first record, it sounded like a million different styles of music squashed into one song.
Well, that's basically what it was.
There's a lot of disco funk in there, really, isn't there? And Motorhead.
And Hawkwind.
And
Butthole Surfers.
Yeah.
We did like the Butthole Surfers.
Is it not sounding exactly like them, but it's in there, isn't it? I mean,
Well, the thing is, the Butthole Surfers were quite a special band, special people. It's like when if you try to recreate that music, you're just not. Especially if you're trying to have an independent, like hit record. That no one's going to listen to us sort of on acid in a room for 25. Luckily, the Butthole Surfers were really good at it.
They're kind of like their own genre, like Primus.
But they were definitely an influence on us because they were pretty far out, and the music was absolutely phenomenal.
I think the dynamics almost, because despite all your fooling about, you're actually a pretty good guitar player.
Bass player, mate.
Sorry, bass player.
Thank you very much, sir.
No one's ever said that before, have they?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm a very good bass player. I'm available for weekends and Christmas parties.
I mean, it's kind of, the music's kind of off kilter, but actually quite musical, isn't it? More musical than it should have been.
Yes.
Quite possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
We are quite good at what we do. So.
I always got the thing you can never make up your mind what you actually were.
No, we couldn't. You're right.
Yeah.
I still can't. I'm in 55 different bands.
I think what it comes down to is we're quite musically eclectic. We don't just like one thing or two things. We just like all sorts of stuff. So that kind of comes through in the music. That always has done.
We did listen to a lot of different songs. I mean, because me and Robber and Ian Anderson and Kev Reaver from Crazy Head, we used to DJ. We had a DJ night, and we'd play like everything, like Cabaret Voltaire, hip hop, Bauhaus, classic punk, soul music, Iggy Pop. I was the first person in Leicester to buy the Red Hot Chili Peppers' first single, which was Hollywood Africa. I bought it because it was like somebody said, this band sounds like Iggy Pop meets George Clinton. I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. Went down to Ainley's Records, going, you've got this record? I went, no, we haven't got it. It's like, get it in, I want it. And so we were pretty eclectic.
So like any complete music themes, and always looking for the new thing, maybe in a sense.
I don't know.
Or just looking for any sensation, really.
I think any sensation.
Yeah.
You get your hands on, really.
I mean, how did that work, the songwriting, how did that work at rehearsals?
Well, we just used to get in a room, take loads of speed
and chain link riffs together until like they sounded great.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't. That's a blessing and a curse the way we work, because we didn't traditionally write songs as such. It's sort of like riffs and then put some words over the top, kind of thing.
There's choruses, though.
There are choruses.
There's sort of structure in the chaos, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is great, you know.
Yeah, it is chaos with pop music. It's chaotic pop music, really.
Mm-hmm. I mean, would you get to the end of the song, you sound great, you'd be doing it for about a month rehearsal, and somebody walk in and go, why don't we just do a bit more hip hop? Or so, would it be like that, completely curveball, swerve it?
You know what? Because we put out Nosedive Karma. That was our hip hop record. That was like, the Beastie Boys, like heavy metal meets some sort of dance thing, and John Langford got really excited. It's like, great, I've got this effect I can put on something, and it's like, oh, that sounds good.
Got this hammer we're going to hit this bit of metal with. It's great.
So we did that.
I'm surprised we didn't get sued by the Beastie Boys, because it is basically one of their songs.
Which is basically AC/DC.
I think you mangled it enough.
Yeah, we did.
We did it all the time. We do it with Bad Brains. No one noticed.
Yeah, we did. That was another band. Another band that does crop up in our thing is Bad Brains.
Especially the second and third album.
Somehow you ended up your own thing, though, I think. I think you definitely found a little space between all your influences that was actually yours.
We were definitely, unlike a lot of bands who sort of tend to sort of sound like, when they start off, sound like a lot of other bands. We do sound, no one sounds like us, really.
Is it maybe because there is so many influences in there that you can't even tell what they are on it?
That's true.
So you go out and you start playing, and the word is out that this band's completely off their heads and it's pretty crazy. And you turn up in town and it was actually true. Yeah.
Yeah. we were a bit mad, but like we were just young people having fun.
Still.
You were still. No, I don't know, we came from a culture, also these guys were heavily into crass and sort of going to the festival culture, because we sort of, we were the crusty thing.
We were dirty squatters and
we were filthy dirty squatters, and that's what we did. And sort of in between all that, on the other hand, I always used to think, them lot are really sort of punk anarchy. Oh, somebody's on.
never called me here. I've been into.
Hold on, it's my agent.
Buy, sell. Yeah.
Justin, I'm being interviewed by John Robb in front of 250,000 people.
You're lying.
I'll speak to you later, mate.
Put the cat out.
Calm down, I will calm down. Bye.
Yes, where were we? Yes, yeah, crazy young people on tour, crass, dirty squatters. Yeah.
Well,
I don't believe you're being interviewed.
One more time, come on.
let's not go there.
Let's not talk about that.
He's on the other side of the earth.
In a globe.
So at that point in time, you were probably the most out there band on the tour.
We're kind of out there, but we were working really hard at it. As much as all this crap was going on, we were like, do you remember Nick Toxic?
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
He put the gigs on Leeds Bradford.
He put, yeah, but you sent off a postal order to a postal address in Leeds, and he'd send you a big thick list of every venue in the country. It was like the internet, like a resource. And I remember sitting at home, like, okay, because we had a little bit of success, you know, not success, but
People noticed us.
people had noticed us and we had a silly
We've
name.
arrived.
And I literally, so we were just constantly sort of gigging. So we sort of worked out all that for ourselves, and so it was like
There's a method in the madness.
there was method to the madness, exactly.
Well, what was it like actually being on tour that time? Was it, even though there was a method to the madness, was it everyone pretty off the heads?
It was sex and drugs and rock and roll, John.
Well, it was a lot different back when we were younger, because when you're younger, you got like no ties, no family, no
Responsibility.
no job. So like back then it was like, we've got a gig on Saturday, great, let's go and score some speed. Now it's, we've got a gig in that 2 months time, I'll have to check whether I can get off work, or like,
Don't ruin the image.
Well, it is like that, everyone has a day job
Talking about himself.
Yeah, obviously.
Everybody has a day job.
You're not in the real world, sure. Yeah.
Let's go back to my magical Robbers world then, come on, it's all crazy.
So speaking of which, crazy head, your car gets lumped into the Grebo scene. So, I mean, every band hates being lumped in a scene, but it's kind of a funny, almost quite a cool term, really, in a sense.
Kind of is now. It got to a point initially where it was obviously it's all James Brown's fault.
It always is.
It's always everything's James Brown's fault. I mean, it's just convenient, isn't it, for the press to sort of have a tag to put people in, and some scenes it works. I mean, the Bykers was weird because we signed to Virgin. I honestly think that they thought that we were going to sell records, maybe. But what
They said to us, oh, great, we got the new Sex Pistols.
But the thing is, when you're putting records out and the radio's not playing them because you've got some stupid name.
Gay and acid.
We got censored. We made the movie and we got censored by the British Board of the Film Censors, and it said it was Gay Bykers, star.
Star.
So they said it wasn't acceptable to have on acid.
It's all right being gay though.
So they had high hopes for you then, Virgin.
Obviously, they threw a lot of money at us.
Did you have the meetings and they had the battle plan?
Well, kind of. We used to go to A&R meetings. This bloke was sitting there with his squash racket going,
Yeah.
So, who do you want to produce you this week?
Oh yeah!
Let's look at what's on the
Let's
charts.
do brunch.
I'm sure we could do this down the pub. Come on, let's go.
Spritzers.
We didn't have the greatest experience with A&R people. We were, pretty stupid to sign to a major label.
Well, we were young.
And you still had no manager at that point.
We had a manager who completely ripped us off. Tracy!
The classic story then.
Our manager
It's a
was
bit of a cliche, but yeah.
It is, but a lot of young musicians, like it happens to every young band, they're naive, no one's directing you, and so saying like, oh, you should be doing that. Don't listen to them, listen to your parents. You know what I mean? We know what's better for you, but like you think you know it all. So like, if I knew what I know now, back then, I would have bought drugs in bulk. It's true though, isn't it?
But if you know what you know now, then the band would not be as exciting, though, would it? It'd be a bit more. We better not do that. We have a different name.
Well, it is what it was really, and it's kind of like a magical moment in time. Like it was like Robbers World for me because I was just like off my head all the time.
It was.
What's happening now? Oh, we're going to America. Great, more drugs.
I mean, if you think about it, the trajectory and what actually happened in I don't even know how long, probably in the space of like a year and a half. you know, 1 minute, the second time, the first gig you do in London is at the 100 Club, then the third gig is at the Marquee, and you're like, oh, this is all right, you know. And then, you know, have a record in the charts, starts doing that, goes well, and then you put another record out that goes well, then a major record label comes in, they give you money to make a film, and they go, right, you're going to headline, you're going to play at the New Music Seminar in New York, 1986, we supported the Cult.
Is that where we had the Beast?
So the first time we played America, we played at the Felt Forum, which is like 16,000 people, it's part of the Madison Square Garden. Second time we played in America, we played at the Ritz, which is now the Webster Hall. And the third time we played in America was at CBGB's. So
in reverse order.
So we did it in reverse order.
The coolest place last.
So the venue's got...
The thing about rock and roll is be nice to the people on the way up, because you're going to meet them on the way down again, aren't you?
So yeah, but you know, in that process, so you know, everything, because you just think it's going to carry on forever, you don't, and then you think, oh, then the enemy starts calling you Dumpy Rusty's nuts or whatever, and you're like, oh, shit, I'm not as cool as I thought I was. So
it's pretty quick, isn't it? The turnaround.
It was a very quick
you're up
turnaround.
and you're down within like the space of a couple of years, and for a lot of young men and women, it's kind of an emotional thing, because like you're on top of the world, like I've arrived, yeah, it's going to be like this forever, and then all of a sudden you dropped.
No one's giving you, therapy on. No, you're not getting no one's advising you on how to deal with this situation, because it's actually quite, it's
soul destroying.
But it might look sort of glamorous, but over the space of years, you can see why people fall by the wayside. So
which you did, in a sense. You got dropped, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Then we started our own label.
Yeah.
And
How can you run a label like chaos?
We started the label. Tell us what happened. We started the label, and then Rough Trade went bankrupt. So we didn't make any money out of the records that we sold on our own label.
Yeah.
So
could you actually run a label?
We had somebody that ran our label who was an alcoholic.
Yeah, naked brain. Free big dorming, global warming.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever think, shit, we've got something here, could surely get them to organise this a little bit better?
By that time, it was too late.
Yeah.
Somebody pulled the pin and it exploded.
What was it like when it all went? Was it, like you were saying, it was difficult to handle? Or, I remember actually bumping into you that period after, and you seemed like a little lost soul for a bit of time.
I was a lost soul, yeah. Because,
like a bunny rabbit in the road with the headlights of the car coming of reality.
But I think I always loved. I didn't like the trappings of celebrity and being. I just wanted. I always wanted to just make music. So ultimately, I thought, well, all I can possibly do is just carry on making music. And so luckily I got involved with Pigface. Mm-hmm. So
that all seemed like a home for lost souls, actually.
It is a home. It was a home for lost souls. Another band I got ripped off in.
I can see a pattern here.
And then it sort of went a little bit sour with some of the obviously.
We've got to remember in the 90s though, like electronic music had just taken over a lot of what everybody else had been doing.
Yeah.
Because I got involved in the acid house and techno scene. I used to DJ all the way through the 90s and take even more chemicals.
Yeah, I was going to say the motivation there is probably.
It was.
A different way of getting off
the 90s was like the 60s, but like on acid.
Yeah.
Or ecstasy.
Oh, definitely ecstasy. Yeah, it was fun.
And you were kind of popping up in really weird places as well, weren't you? You're like, what's that guy that writer where he based the character on you in his book, didn't he? That Scottish guy that lived in
Oh, Martin Miller.
Yeah, aren't you the guy in the book?
I'm possibly one of the guys in one of his books.
Yeah.
He was a good friend of mine, actually, Martin.
Great writer.
He's a good writer, yeah.
Yeah. So you see one of those people just kept popping up in places you wouldn't expect all the time.
Yeah, what's his name? Zelig or whatever.
Yeah. So when you get back in, so you sort of drifting back into bands, everybody after Acid House and things, or?
Well, Kev had a band
back
with
to his hole.
Kev had a band with Tony called Steroid.
Yeah,
Steroids, yeah. And I also joined a band with Mark from the Bomb Party, Jeff from the Janitors, and Alexis from Hull. And that lasted
That's not the name of the band, is it?
No.
It's called Grove.
I think it's a place up the north.
Grove.
He kept telling me about it, but we never went there.
That was called Growth, by the way, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
No,
so
I didn't even realise the band had split up. Really, I just thought we were.
Nobody told you.
I just thought we were having 25 years off. It was quite a pleasant surprise when we got back together. I was getting a bit bored.
Kev, we're getting the band back together. We're on a mission.
you were just waiting for the next rehearsal. How do you actually? Were you still on speaking terms, or was it? Or just
By the time that time had sort of elapsed, we were all on speaking terms.
We'd just done a tour of America that lasted about, I don't know, 4 years, something. It felt like that.
We had
When we got
Babes in
back.
Toyland supporting and L7 supporting us at the time, and they hadn't broken America at that point. It's like pre-grunge, and we did this really intense tour where we were tour managing. We had a U-Haul trailer and like a minibus, and
Transit van.
we undid the mileage clock. We hired it in Boston, and we literally went every single state of the United States of America. The automatic transmission broke.
Yeah,
We had
there's a
to
few
fix
things
that.
wrong with that van when we took it
We
back.
took it back. We like put the.
It's like the
So
Blues
where have you
Brothers.
been? Where have you been? It's like, oh yeah, we just ran
Boston,
New York,
Boston, Maine.
literally.
Because you had to pay, explain to the audience, you had to pay per kilometre, didn't you?
Yeah.
Per mile.
Yeah.
That's why you jigged the clock. Because
Exactly.
Yeah. So after that, American tours always break up British bands, don't they?
They definitely break bands.
Funnily enough, at the time, it was
Either
like,
break America or it breaks you.
I have to say, at that time, it was like, you know, the Britpop thing and the Mondays and things, they didn't quite make it. We were playing venues in the US and getting more people than those kind of bands who were massive, everyone's writing. And because by then the Bykers were history, and they were like, wow, these sort of bands making America. I mean, we didn't have a record label, and we were just doing it ourselves. We were playing at like, you know, the Metro in Chicago, and we played big venues and sort of doing reasonably well in some of the, you know, some of the towns. So that was a bit soul destroying, because you're there and you're reading about how these bands that everyone's writing about can't break America, and we're there, we're sort of doing okay, and like still you won't write about us because we're last year's.
See, what we went wrong was we should have started writing them ourselves.
Yeah, but yeah, it just after all that time, it just wears you down, I think, and I think
It was a good like 5 or 6 years of like being young men constantly on it.
you're you constantly
Living
spend
together.
time together. It's totally unnatural thing.
Yeah, it's
We
weird.
call it
It's
tour
weird.
combat.
It's absolutely weird. That's what it is.
So you went back to it.
So we thought we'd go back to
Yeah, well,
25 years later.
touring now though is not like you Monday to Monday. It's like, oh, should we do one on a Friday and a Saturday, maybe a Sunday matinee? Yeah, that's about I can manage.
So does it make any sense a slightly more mature version of Gaye Bykers than us? I say note the word slightly.
Well, it does, because we were every time we played in the past, we were absolutely hammered.
Fortunately, the crowd was also. And they just thought we were brilliant.
Oh, it's great.
So tonight you'll be slightly hammered, or
We won't be hammered at all, but we'll play the songs as they were supposed to be played.
Well, I don't do anything anymore. I'm totally sober. It's like I don't
Yeah.
do drugs or drink anymore, apart from the coffee.
So tonight will be an opportunity for the audience to actually, as you were just saying, to see the band as it should have been.
Well, it's kind of. I mean, having said that, we've got a replacement. Tony's not with us because he's in Japan, and so we've got Will.
Mr. Will Cruson sitting over there with the shades on.
Yeah.
Everybody, Mr. Will Cruson.
He plays with Adam and the Ants, and he plays with
Rachel Stamp.
Rachel Stamp.
He's a very good guitar player.
He could tell him himself. Yeah, that's what we thought. Yeah.
He looks a bit too cool to be in your band.
He does look too cool to be an album.
He's actually brings the average age of the band down by 10 years.
By about half a year. It's not that young. Sorry, Will. I met Will some time ago, so I realised that he was a sort of a fan of Tony and a fan of the band, and so I sort of thought, I'll sort of be cheeky and ask him if he'd be interested, and he said yes. So we've done some rehearsals with him. We did
Turns out he knew the songs better than we did. It's actually quite
He
embarrassing.
told you the songs, yeah? Yeah.
So we did a show in Leicester, did a warm-up show in Leicester last night, and it was great. It went down really well. Yeah, it's great. We had another guitarist, a guy called Tom Stanley, did a really good job. But it's very, Tony's quite a tough act to follow.
He's like 3 guitarists in one.
Yeah.
And he tap dances as well on his pedals.
I'm sure Will could tap dance if you ask him.
Yeah, he hasn't done the dance audition yet.
So is this an ongoing thing then, or can we expect to pop up festivals every now and
Well,
then?
this is the idea. It's like, you know, if we can play festivals, if people want to see us, obviously, then we'll carry on, you know, because
I've got to be honest with you, it's like playing in a band is the only thing I've ever been really good at, and I love being on stage. It's better than drugs, so I want to carry on doing it because I like it.
So it took you quite a few decades to work out that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It's like yeah.
because Robert actually broke up the band the first time we were there.
Oh,
My fault.
it's fault.
My bad. Sorry, fans.
Had a bit of a turn when we got back from America, didn't
Well,
you?
basically, it was a tour burnout. They should have put me in rehab.
Didn't we play? We played at the venue in New Cross.
Yeah, and that's where I lost the plot.
Somebody stole a bass guitar of his, and
My 1988 Fender Jazz from America bass guitar.
it got stolen out of the dressing room, and he threw a wobbler, and that was it.
That was the end of the band.
That was the end of the
It
band.
was a sign.
It's never spectacular at the end of a band, is
No,
it?
it wasn't
just
that spectacular.
fizzles down a plug hole, doesn't it? But at least you're back.
We're back. in
And
full
what
attack.
time are you on tonight?
We'll be on at 9:30 this evening.
9:30.
Yeah.
Excellent.
When
Okay.
Bob Villan is on, apparently everyone's going to see him.
Not everybody can get the main hall.
That's true.
Yeah. And Bob Dylan's great, but you're pretty good as well.
Oh, mate.
So 9:30, we'll see you all there.
Yay!
Thank you. Lovely people.